Hi guys, this is Anna and welcome to my book review where I'm going to talk about a new non-fiction book I've just finished. The Romanovs, 1613-1918 by Simon Sebag Montefiore, who has studied here in Cambridge. And this is definitely not one of his first books, but it is a very ambitious book. Yes, it does look quite large, but it's supposedly deals with the entirety of the Romanovs' history in Russia, and that's quite a few kings and queens to go through. So I have given this book eventually 4 out of 5 stars. However, to me it's a book of two halves. So in this review I'm going to try to tell you 2 things which I really liked about this book, and 2 things which I really did dislike and ended up taking 1 star off this book. And I'll tell you who I think should read this book, so the target auditory I think it was written for. And because I have given this 4 to 5 stars, I think I would like to give this book away to one of my subscribers. So if you fancy reading this book and you don't have it so far, it's quite a nice edition. It's really pretty. It's hardbound, it has the dust jacket, so if you take it off it's completely white. It has really nice pictures in the middle, in color, but I highly doubt I will read this again. And I'm very careful when I read my book, so it looks completely new. Right, so 2 things I really liked about this book. Number 1, I liked the fact that the author actually went for all of the kings, and historically it is accurate. So as a person who went to school in Russia and studied Russian history there and then continued to self-improve my knowledge, I have read quite a few books published both in Russia, sort of in the post-Soviet period, some of it sort of historical Russian, like Karamzin, sort of Tsarist Russian history, and then some of the English Russophiles. So this is historically accurate, and it's very accessible in the way it's written. So if you know nothing about Russian history, if it is a completely new subject for you and you would like to have like a glimpse everything at once, then this is the book for you. If you like more in depth, then probably not, but it will give you all of the basics, and it will really focus on some of the more interesting episodes. The second reason why I really liked it is because the author really clearly likes Russian literature. There are lots and lots of references throughout this book referring to Russian poets and Russian authors such as Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Pushkin, Tyutchev, Turgenev. All of them are historically portrayed accurately, so he has done his research. He has definitely done his reading of Russian classics because he shines for this book. So if you like Russian literature, then this book will be really interesting for you to read. Again, because I knew all of those episodes, to me it was just like sort of nice points in the book, which kind of made me think, oh yeah, I remember reading about this at school, or I remember class discussion. But again, if you know nothing about Russian history but you like Russian literature, big selling point. Now coming to the 2 points which kind of tore me off this book, but again, it's a personal preference and it might be a selling point for you. Number 1, this book is quite big. However, literally, even though, how many pages it is if you exclude all of the references? I like the references, by the way, that's another really good point. If you exclude the extensive bibliography, the actual text is 654 pages. Out of those 654 pages, at least half of the book deals with the recent history. So Alexander II, Alexander III, Nicholas II. Just last 3 monarchs. And everyone else, so Peter the Great, Peter I, or Catherine the Great, they're all there in the first half, but they're not as extensively researched, there's not enough text. Again, probably it's done because the author feels much more comfortable with the more recent history. He knows more about the European history. Like, there's a lot of anecdotes about Victoria, Queen Victoria of England, and how the family connections are done, which I knew because A, I come from Russia, and B, I live in England. There's like no escaping it. There's a huge overlap. But if you know nothing, that would be really, really interesting. Now, the second thing which I quite disliked in this book, and it might be personal preference, so for you that might be like a really good thing, but for me it was a negative. To me, this book lacked political detail, so it talks about the Romanovs from the personal point of view rather than really explaining what led to revolution in Russia. It had an opportunity to really build it up from Alexander II, from the fact that he had 7 assassinations. Explain more about the decabrists. Explain about 1805 and what happened there. He just says like, oh, they were decabrists, and that's how it's been dealt with. Yeah, but if I know nothing about it, I will still be none the wiser. And when it deals about like the last 60 years of Romanov dynasty, if it deals with Nicholas II, like, you really need to give me more meat on the bone. I mean, yes, it's definitely more compared to the first half of the book. Like, he's really, like, the author, Simon Seymour Montefiore, he's really invested in those political figures, but it was still not as detailed, which is probably because the book is not as big. I mean, you can't fit everything in, and most people might be not going to be interested. Instead, he chooses to talk about their personal life, and he talks about their private diaries, and this is what I really disliked. There's too much emphasis on the lovers of kings and queens. Like, I know they had mistresses, or Catherine the Great had her lovers. Do I care? No. Like, I don't need to know details of their private life. The huge section of this book was devoted to Alexander II and to his love affair with his second wife. So first she was his mistress, she was years younger, like 20 years younger than him, and apparently they both had insatiable sexual appetite. And it goes down into the detail, like the nicknames he and her had for their private bits. The word vagina is used like 30 times. Do I really care what goes on behind someone's bedroom door? No, I don't want to know. Like, I'm not interested in Rasputin's size of his penis. I really don't. Like, I don't want to read about it. You can mention it because arguably it had an impact on the actual political events, but there is a thin line you can walk between it being vulgar and it being needed, and to me it crossed into the vulgar category. So if you like really private details of sex lives of the kings and queens, you will enjoy reading this. I had to really skip those passages because when I look at the portraits of Alexander II next time I'm in Hermitage, I don't want to see his private bits. Like, really, really don't. But they're really described in this book. And not just his. Like, pretty much all of his children's private life. Like, all the laundry is paraded in front of you. It's just bad taste, in my opinion. I think it's private. It's called private for a reason, and it should remain private. But hey, who am I to judge? So, if you are interested in reading this book, if you think that it is the one for you and you would like to win it, all you need to do is to write a comment under this video to say that you would like to participate in the giveaway. It's gonna finish on Friday, the 8th of September, so you have a whole week, more or less, depending on when I publish this video. Probably I will publish it slightly later, but today is Friday. And I will look and choose a random candidate next weekend. If you're under the age of 18, can I please have your parents' consent so I can send it to you? Otherwise, I don't really want to know your address, but there are no other restrictions. Let me know if you like this book or if you didn't like it in the comments down below. See you guys in the next video. Happy reading!